Now I've got all 4 legs custom fitted. I want to make sure to keep them aligned after sanding and all that good stuff. Now I've taken off all the clamps, and it looks really nice, but it needs to be smoothed out. And to do that, first I'm going to use the power planer, and this is the underside. This is the bottom of the desktop, but I want to get both sides smooth and parallel as best I can. So I'm only going to take off 1/64 of an inch at a time, but there's some glue spots and some things I couldn't get off with the scraper, so I'm going to go ahead and do planing, which will result in less than 1 3/4 inch top, but it's still going to be very, very strong. Well, now I've got the top all planed up, nice and smooth. So, and I sanded it down to 80 grit so far, but it's nice and smooth and flat. Now I'm going to mark the locations of the mortises in the legs. And with the exception of, well, the front 2 legs and the back 2 legs are going to be slightly different, because the back 2 legs are going to have mortises on them that meet in the middle. So let's say this here goes all the way through, and this part here goes all the way through, and they'll meet in the middle at a mitered 45 degree. So it's going to be a mitered mortise and tenon. But that's only for the back 2 legs. The front 2 legs are just going to have regular mortise and tenon. So right now I'm just going to mark the location. I've got my 1 square set up at 1 inch. I took a picture of SketchUp so I know where everything's supposed to go here. I'm going to set this one at 1.5 inches, and I'm going to start marking. It's going to be 1.5 inches down here. And 1 inch in on either side. And then the total mortise is going to be 2 5/8 inch. So I'll mark all the legs. So I've marked out all the locations of the mortises, and now I'm going to set the depth of my drill press. And the way to do that is of course with these stops here, but how do you set them accurately? The way I do it is I put the drill bit down on the workpiece, just like this, so it stops right on the workpiece. Bam. And now I have my combination square set at the depth that I want, which is 1.5 inches. And then I set it right up here on this little ledge where it's going to stop. The stops make it stop. And to make sure that that screw stop there matches or lines up with my combination square. Could go up just a little bit, actually. There we go. Maybe just a hair more. Okay. I think I'm set. What I'm going to do here is make a series of overlapping holes on this mortise that I've already marked out. And I'll go back later, finish up with a chisel, make it all square. I've been working the past few hours on chiseling out these mortises. I've got 2 legs done already. This is the 3rd leg. I've got 3 areas done on this already, and I've got the 4th leg to go. But I wanted to show you, if you can hopefully see with the horrible lighting in here, but this is a mortise from both sides, and it kind of pokes through, so you can see my little finger there wiggling on the other side. So this is going to, like I said, this is going to be a mitered mortise and tenon. So the tenons are going to go into the groove here, and then are going to be mitered in the back. So those 2 miters will meet at the corner there. And so now I'm going to show you how I chisel out this one here. Not too different from a regular one. All you got to do is, it's very similar, but on this part here where it meets, goes through to the other side, you just got to be careful to not get any blowout. So, adventure in careful persuasion. This hard maple is got a good name, because it is actually very, very hard. This is my 1-inch chisel here. I don't know if you can see it real well, but that portion there, I did not hit that on metal or the ground or anything else. That was hit on a corner of one of these mortises here, and it actually bent the tip, but could be a function of the quality of the chisel. At any rate, keep rocking here. Now that I've got all the mortises cut, I've set the legs in their places, and I've measured between the back 2 legs and between the front 2 legs to get my final measurement on my aprons. Now I'll go and cut my aprons to their final length. I've done a number of test cuts on this particular tenon, right here, which goes all around the top of all the different legs. It's slightly off on the top here, which 1.5 here, and then it's 3/8 of an inch all the way rest of the round, all the way around the rest of the way. Thank you very much. Okay, so as you can see, now it fits perfectly with very little play, which glue will take care of. Okay, so the way I did that is I just measured from here to here, 1.5 inches. From here to here it was 1 inch, but this board is not 1 inch, so you have to actually measure the width of this and the width of this board here. So that equals out to be 3/8, which matches my SketchUp plan exactly. So when I set everything up and cut everything, it was slightly bigger, so just raise the dado blade up very, very slightly at a time. Took me about 3 tries, but now it fits perfectly. And this is just a test piece here. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut all the tenons on all the other apron pieces, which are these 2 pieces here and this long piece here. And then I'll do the same type of process for the bottom aprons, which are a little bit different width, and the dados are a little bit, or the not dados, but mortise and tenons are a little bit different. So I've cut all the tenons on all the pieces, and now all I've got left to do, and I've dry fit, I've made sure everything fits perfectly. All I've got left to do here is cut the miter on these tenons. Now it looks kind of, can't see the mark on the wood because it's such dark wood, but I've got a mark here, and all I'm going to do is cut a 45 slice off of this end and then off the other end, and then the same for the smaller long apron, and then only one side for the 2 side aprons. Okay, here we go. Alright, now I've got all my mortise and tenons cut. They're all fit, they're all custom fit. Everything looks good. And I said earlier that I was going to trim or cut all the top pieces to their exact final length, but I changed my mind. I only trimmed the front and the back pieces to their final 60-inch length, and I left the other 4 at a rough length here. I just decided that because it was too crazy to try and line up both ends. I had to line up that end anyway to get the top dados perfectly lined. So this side had to be left as it was. So now I'm going to take my router with this straight edge in place and just trim cut these pieces off. These two pieces are fine. Those will stay the same. But these 4 pieces will be cut, and then that'll be about it for the top. There has been a lot of work since the last time I filmed. It's been mostly sanding and of course gluing up the leg assemblies. I started with the 2 side assemblies and made sure that they fit nice and snug. And then I did the long aprons in the back, and they're still gluing, as you might be able to see the clamps right now. But now I'm just going to do some more sanding. I'm going to go 220 on the top and then 320 on the top. All the legs and the aprons have been sanded up to 320 so far. So everything fits good. And now I've got lots of sanding and then shellac and then some coats of lacquer. Now it's all assembled. This is the desk. I'll get a pretty good shot of it, hopefully. I used an HVLV system to put 1 coat of lacquer. Yesterday I brushed shellac on myself, 1 coat. This morning I sanded it down smooth, and now this is 1 coat of lacquer sprayed on. Back up a little. This is from the back here, of course. And now from the front, and get the entire thing in. There we go. This is the completed desk. As you can see, the 1 3/4 walnut top, 1 3/4 aprons with the, of course you can't see the mitered mortise and tenon in the corners, but they're there. And then regular mortise and tenons on these front legs. And of course the underside here, which is not really crazy important, but there we go. And the top, once again, grain matched up as best I could through mortise and tenon. The hard maple comes straight through, featuring no gaps in the joinery there. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching the video. It's been a pleasure making this desk. We talked about how to buy wood at the lumber yard. Talked about how to do some rough cuts and get all the pieces that you need. We talked about how to do mortise and tenon, especially the mitered mortise and tenon, which are featured on this project. Don't see those too often. And talked about finishing a little bit and sanding and all that good stuff. So hopefully you'll subscribe to my channel and watch future videos. Thank you very much.